Hi, good morning and welcome to the Old Geezer's Diary. I'm Chris. I'm sorry I'm running a bit late. It is Sunday the 5th of May 2019 and today, well, I'm talking about the little story we saw the other day about pensioners' perks. I was kind of interested to read a big story in the Daily Express newspaper as well that I was led to at the same time, which was about the kind of the same thing, the pensioners' perks thing, when they were saying that many pensioners really depended on those perks. But I think the fact of the matter is that in the UK we don't really, dare I say it, I don't think we really understand how many pensioners live. The fact of the matter is that according to Age UK, in the UK, there are around 2 million pensioners living in actual poverty. They're below the government's own poverty guideline, I guess you'd say. It's 16% of all pensioners, 16 in every 100, live below the poverty level that's measured in the UK. And I guess if there's 2 million people living at that level, there are probably another 1 million or 2 million who are living just above it, but very close to it. So I think the reality is probably that there's more like, I should say, maybe 3 million. That's 25% of pensioners who are either close to or below the poverty line. Now, the thing that our mighty friends in the House of Lords go along with, essentially, I suppose, is their perception. And the perception of pensioners, when you look on the internet, is that pensioners are all suntanned, handsome, good-looking people, living successful lives and driving big motor cars. I don't know, going on holiday to luxurious and exotic locations. But in fact, for many pensioners, I do believe that living on a pension is bloody hard. The fact of the matter is that if you look at the ordinary British pension, which is around, I don't know, 150, 160, 170 quid a week, depending on how you've worked through your life and what your outcome on the pension is, then for ordinary pensioners, that's not a great deal of money. It's around, well, we can add it up, can't we? Because 5,000 a year is £100 a week, so £160 a week is around £8,000 a year. And the average British wage now is said to be around 30,000 a year. So these are people who are living on comfortably less than a third of the British average wage. Oh my God. People who are on in excess of that pension, i.e. people who've got some element of private pension, can be on 10, 12, 15, 20. Yeah, I think you're right, Dominic. I'll come back to that. I think the reality is that there are many people who are near to poverty. When we look around, we look at the world today and we look at a different world to the world I grew up in. In the world I grew up in, your mum mostly didn't go to work. Now, there's a thought for you, isn't there? For young people who are watching this, people of under, I don't know, under maybe 40 or 50, no one ever remembers a time when your mum didn't go to work, but my mum didn't go to work, she was mum. Later in her life, when we were both at work, she went to work part-time because she could have done with the money, I guess. But it was money for extras. It wasn't money to actually live on. So there you have it. We lived on my dad's wages probably until around the time I was about 24 or 25 when Mum got bored and went out. So Dominic, at least you're getting a pension. There won't be one when my missus is. Well, yeah, indeed. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I think that's probably true. I think the truth is that I can't read all of the comment, but nonetheless I take your point very clearly. And I think that what we're doing with politics related to pensions is that there's a kind of gap, if you like, between what we as ordinary people in the street expect from our government and what we're getting. And what we're getting is a constant cut of all the services that everybody depends on, instead of what we really kind of want. And what I think we really kind of want is a bit more like looking after. Good morning to you, young Kevin. Hope you're okay. If you think about it, in other countries they do things differently. I won't say better because the numbers aren't that great. If you're in France, the pension is kind of around the same level. If you're in Spain, the pension is kind of around the same level. If you're in Greece, the pension's around half the level. If you're in Germany, however, the pension can be monumental. So, everybody does it differently. And there are implicit costs in doing it differently. I think the reality for most of us is that what we want to do is kind of push our government to actually look at what we want as people, instead of spending all of its time worrying about big time finance and the European community, if you like. The reality, I think, for most of us is that we expect our government to look after us. And I think that's where it's all going wrong. The thing that we see so often, the thing that we see so often is that ordinary people like you and me struggle quite often. It's a thought, isn't it? We do. We have a bit of a struggle financially to get through our lives. People like politicians, MPs, House of Lords members, £305 a day allowance for sitting on their asses. So people like that, and people who earn 80,000 a year as MPs, don't have any recognition, any understanding of what living on a limited income is like. To be honest with you, Dominic, in many ways I retired very early because I decided I was going to, but I've continued to work doing things that interest me more than a career, if you like. I've done loads of different bits and pieces over the last, I guess, 20 years. I haven't worked full time much of that, but I've worked a lot over that time and done stuff that's made an income. Couldn't afford to have done without it. But the reality is, yeah, exactly. But the reality is that so many people, those 2 million pensioners who are currently in poverty, they shouldn't be there. Our government should look after us, and our government should work out the way to do that. If you look around at other societies, there are one or two societies that seem to have it right. In Scandinavia, the Danes seem to have it right. Denmark has a very different kind of financial calculation on pensions, and that calculation gives people a reasonable income when they're in retirement, when they're students, when they're unemployed, all of those things, and when they're pensioners, for God's sake, yeah. So I think we need to take a look at the world and say, how does this compare with what we're doing in the UK? I think in the UK we're doing a bit of a crap job. And that's my honest opinion. Ladies and gentlemen who are watching this on YouTube, on Facebook, if you like it or don't like it, give me a click, give me a like, subscribe on YouTube, like it on Facebook, like the page on Facebook. Keep in touch. Let's get a discussion going about what we expect as older people. I'm an old geezer and this is my diary, and I'm going to talk about what old people go through all the time. Dominic, I feel really sorry for the way you feel because, yeah, you're really unhappy about it, but I don't know how we can change it. I think we ought to change it, and I think we ought to make life better for many people. The problem that we have is that people who are not the best off financially have problems further down their lives when they become retired, and because we're keeping people alive longer, it becomes more of a problem. My gosh, this is a complicated subject, and I'm going to run away before I shoot myself in the foot. The fact of the matter is that we're going to keep looking at retirement and old age and stuff on the Old Geezer's Diary, and hopefully we'll come up with more thoughts, and we will start to wave flags so that people pay attention to what older people are saying. Nice to see you this morning, Dominic, Kevin. I hope to see you, if you're not mentioned, online soon. My name's Chris Gosling, this is the Old Geezer's Diary, and I have to lean over here to press the button and say take care of yourself.